100 keer de film bij musical. Dat betekent 100 keer aandacht voor een van de mooiste podiumkunstvormen die er in de wereld bestaat. En ik ben ontzettend blij dat Musical World er is en dat het een filmpjes is. Dan kan je nou beter iets wat echt leven laten zien dan met levend bewegend materiaal. Los van alle berichten en het forum wat ik braaf volg, ben ik een buitengewoon trouwe kijker van Musical World TV.
Voor de laatste jubileumreportage van musicalworld.tv zijn we weer terug in San Francisco. Het hoofd van het PR-bureau zei: Frans, je kunt het vergeten. Deze persoon doet het absoluut noodzakelijke aan pers en daar hoor jij niet tussen. Maar het is ons toch gelukt.
Hi there, this is Adam Pascal, and I'm just here to congratulate Musical World TV on their 100th interview. It's going to feature myself and Anthony Rapp, and we're an honor to be part of the broadcast, and so please enjoy it.
Niet vergeten, alleen op musicalworld.tv.
Hey, Rent! How do you write a song when the chords sound wrong, though they once sounded right and rare?
En dan is er ook dit geluk. Naast mij zit Adam Pascal, Roger Davis van Rent, en we mogen hem een paar vragen stellen. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Adam, after 13 years, you're back with Rent. How does that feel?
It feels surprisingly familiar. You know, people use that analogy of like putting on an old suit, you know, and that it still feels comfortable. And I think that that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like something that's always been a very comfortable, natural fit, and it feels good to occasionally put it back on.
Okay, but sometimes you outgrow your costume of 13 years ago.
That's true. Luckily that hasn't been the case, figuratively and literally.
Whoa, there's a fire. Always a fire in San Francisco.
Of course, and always one when there's an interview going on right next to a window.
Okay. But sometimes you grow out of your costume of 13 years ago.
Yes, absolutely. But that hasn't been the case this time, and you know, I feel like I come back to the role as an older, obviously older, hopefully wiser, and better performer. And I would hope that my life experience in the time that since I've left the show and the time that I've come back has enriched me as a person and as a performer, so that will translate into the performance.
But there's always a chance that audience refreshes itself. That there are new young'uns.
There are, yeah, you know,
with new demands.
Well, I don't know about new demands necessarily. They want to hear the music that they're familiar with. They want to have the opportunity to see Anthony and I from the original cast, and you know, a lot of people have become fans of the show having only seen the film. Mm-hmm. And so this is their first opportunity to actually see Rent on stage, and so you know, we've been thrilled with the response that we've been getting, especially from those people who've only ever seen the film, mm-hmm. And are so moved by seeing the show performed live on stage. You know, it's a testament to Jonathan's work, and it's a testament to you know, the longevity of this show.
Yeah.
You bet. Thanks.
Rent has been on for more than 13 years, and it's still successful. What does this stamina of Rent stem from?
I think it stems from the message of the music. It stems from the quality of the music, but it also stems from the message of the music, that people really, when they are affected by this show, and they are affected in large numbers every night, in a very positive way. They leave feeling like they've been, you know, given something positive, you know, and people really, you know, people crave that, you know, and if you can go see a piece of entertainment that makes you feel good and makes you feel like you've just had a really, I don't want to say life-changing, because it certainly doesn't change everybody's life, but there are people, but people do say that this show changed my life, and you know, that's an incredible power to have, to be able to do something in such a positive way for someone.
When the notes are sour, where is the power you once had to ignite the air? We're hungry and frozen of life to be chosen. How are we gonna pay? How are we gonna pay? How are we gonna pay last year's rent?
We just talked with Anthony. He told us about how Rent changed his life. He even wrote a memoir at 34
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how Rent changed yours?
Well, I guess in one of the biggest ways, it set me off down a career path that I feel I always belonged on, but never knew I needed to be on that path. You know, I grew up playing in rock bands and always thought that my singing, that was the ends to this talent that I had, and that playing in rock bands was what I was supposed to be doing. And it wasn't until I started doing musical theater that I realized that that wasn't necessarily the case, and that there was this whole other avenue of performing and entertaining that I felt so comfortable with, and didn't know that I belonged there until I ended up there.
Yes.
And so it's given me the opportunity to find that, you know, that ability in myself that I didn't know that I had.
Take me, baby. Take me, baby. Take me, baby. Or leave me.
I see the rock musician and the musical star.
Right.
You even played such typical musical parts like the MC of Cabaret.
Yeah.
How do you blend those two?
Well, I don't really consciously try and blend those two. I've been lucky enough in my career to be able to sort of continue to do everything and to do the things that I find interesting and that I think that I'm good at. And so that's really the only way that I blend it, is that I try and do the things that are interesting and that I hopefully an audience will find compelling. You know, you know, the MC was a perfect example of that. That was, you know, there was something that attracted me to that role so strongly, and I aggressively pursued doing that part for years. And it wasn't until the very end that they gave me the shot. And it was part of me wanting to do it was because it scared me, and I wanted to see if I could do it. I thought that I could. I really felt like I was able to do a performance like that. But I really didn't know until I started doing it, you know. And then once I did it and was successful at it, it was such a huge validation for me personally as a performer, that I had, again, another aspect of myself that I didn't know was there. It's like, you know, peeling back these layers, and it's just been an incredible learning experience.
So the MC could be a departure for you, but,
Yeah.
but Roger Davis, is that character close to yours?
I think so. I mean, it's certainly close in number one, the sort of musical stylings of the music is certainly sits well in my toolbox, and I certainly can relate to a young struggling musician. I mean, that's what I was, you know, and so and I also didn't approach the character as anything other than myself. I never felt that I was like being some other guy, and maybe that's because I had never done a part before, I'd never acted before, and so I didn't have that. I didn't take that approach. It was just a very organic, natural approach, and so in a lot of ways, that character certainly embodies a lot of myself.
You be my king and I'll be your castle.
No, you'll be my queen and I'll be your moat. I've been meant it when they said you can't buy love. Now I know you can rent it, and at least you are my love. All life, all my life.
We're here in San Francisco. You should have a recollection of that city too, because the movie version was shot here. There was a lot of criticism about the movie, but the most striking criticism was your hair. What was that?
I liked my hair.
Yes?
You know, my hair was long when we started to shoot the movie, and I asked Chris Columbus, the director, if I could keep my hair long. You know, it seemed to work for the character for me. You know, I always saw the character, quite frankly, as more of a Bruce Springsteen-esque kind of guy and less a sort of punk Johnny Rotten-ish kind of guy. You know what I mean? And so, given that was always my interpretation of it, I wanted to more physically capture that physical embodiment of what I saw the character more like, and the hair seemed to work for it. So.
And what did you think of all the criticism?
I thought that. What did I think of it? I mean, I certainly, I don't agree with a lot of it, but I also understand where a lot of it comes from. You know, Rent was a movie that had a tremendous amount of pre-existing baggage going into the making of it, and also the reception of it by the fans. You know, no other musical movie at the time that it was made, whether it be Dreamgirls or Hair or the producers or any of these movies, or Chicago or anything, none of them had a really active worldwide fan base at the time that it was going on. So there wasn't this anticipation and this excited anticipation of what were these people going to do with this show that I love so much, and are they going to ruin it, or what are they going to do with it? You know, and you had people all over the world sort of waiting to see what was going to happen with Rent, and these other films didn't have to contend with that. Not that there weren't fans of those shows, but people weren't waiting with bated breath to see what was going to happen with, you know, Chicago. You know what I mean? No one, quite frankly, in the general public even knew what Chicago was. You know, it was because of the film that has had such a resurgence on Broadway. So we had to contend with that, and with that comes any and everybody's opinion.
Yes.
And what they had envisioned and what they thought that it should have been, and how they thought that it should have been portrayed on screen. And so with that comes criticism, and so you have to sort of accept that as part of the package.
And now you're back with the original hair.
Right.
How was the people's reaction to that?
Well, I think people had forgotten. You know, I think people had expected me to look this way, and this is how my version of the stage character looks. Not every Roger has always had this hair. There have been, you know, but this is how I looked when they cast me in the show off Broadway, and so that became the look of the character. You know, you could essentially say that for all of us. We were all the physical template of what these characters look like.
You played Radames in Aida. That was after Rent.
Yes.
Aida happens to be one of the most popular musicals in Holland. What do you think yourself of Aida?
I loved it. And you know, would love the opportunity to maybe do it again with Heather. You know, she and I have talked about the possibility of, you know, maybe doing a tour of it or something like that. I would love to revisit that show. I think the music is amazing, and it tells a great story, and I had a really, really fun time doing it. It was a great second role for me. It really took me as an actor from a character that was very much like myself, wore clothes that were very similar. Some of them were actually my clothes. Oh. That, you know, the black motorcycle jacket that Roger wears was my jacket. And so Radames was sort of that next step into, well, this is a little bit more of a character. This guy's wearing costumes, and this is a world that you're not familiar with, and a world that you're not part of, and so it was a great next step for that evolution of myself.
Stars, are we paying for some crime? Is that all that we are good for? Just a stretch of mortal time, or some God's experiment in which we have no say?
First time I really saw you was at the Musical Awards Gala in 2001 in Holland.
Yeah.
Do you have a recollection of your trip to Holland?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I absolutely loved it. I had never been there before, and I had the opportunity to go over with the folks from Disney and Heather Headley, and it was sort of a dual circumstance. We were there to be a part of this award show, the Dutch Musical Awards, but also to help promote the Dutch production of Aida, which was about to open at the time. And you know, I'm a huge fan of Amsterdam, and I'm a big pot smoker, so I really appreciated the coffee bars.
You didn't show on stage stoned,
No. This is post show activity.